Hello, can you hear me? How's it going, everybody? It's me. Just make sure I've got this set up here. Okay, yeah, that looks good. How's it going, everybody? Comic Crack. Man, I couldn't resist kind of talking about this. So the last stream that I did, I was waiting to hear back from the Winnipeg comic dealer to the Stars for some books. I'd sent him a list for some independent titles that he had on an older list that he had these alternative titles. And for the most part, he had pretty much everything that I had requested. There was only a couple of things that he didn't have. I was looking for the Dead World series. Unfortunately, that was gone. And then there was a single issue in one of the series that he unfortunately didn't have. So still have a gap there, but whatever. I've got a nice chunk of stuff. And as usual, incredible deal. Hope everybody's okay out there. I know it's kind of late. It's like after midnight here. So we'll just give her. I just wanted to talk a little bit about these. I've read a couple of these already, and we're off to a pretty damn good start. So I guess one of the things that he had was the Vlad Dracula Vlad the Impaler from Topps Comics. He had the first two issues polybagged, and they were stinking cheap. And honestly, I wanted the damn cards. So I ended up buying them, getting them from him, and got each of the issues comes with 3 cards. So those are the ones that I had already. And then the next rows are the next from the first 2 issues there. The nice thing about these two, it's got a puzzle back there. And it's signed Jack Kirby. Oh, focus, 1991. And then on this side, it's signed Mignola as well. So I'm assuming that's Kirby on the pencils, Mignola on the inks. But there you go. So a nice puzzle back. So it saves me, because like I said, I think I'd mentioned these were popping up on eBay, the 9 cards, but then, saves me the shipping. And I think the books cost me about $1 a piece. So that was pretty great. Me and cards, addicted. I was talking to Dr. Monkeybot just a little bit today on Twitter, showing him those cards. Because he's a card junkie like myself, so that's pretty great. I finished this earlier tonight before I kind of continued on with my night. I don't know much about this series. So this is Caliber Comics. It's Mobius Comics. Was there 4? Was there 5? Was there 6? I don't remember how many there were. I don't see this around anymore. So I guess what each issue is, there's a Mobius story in it, part of the Airtight Garage universe, I guess. And then each issue, there's a special guest, and they do a little kind of comics jam together. So we start out with the Mobius story, and then we get into Sylvain Desprez, Despretz, so Despretz, Arsac Jams from Arsac Inc. So he does his version, and then I think they do one together, so this is still his version. And he comes from the world of storyboards and movies. Also did some comics as well too. We get some sketches from Mobius as well, from the Arsac tale, which is pretty great. And then I don't know the story behind this internal transfer. So it looks like it's storyboards to a animated movie that was supposed to happen. Maybe it did happen. I haven't dug into it, but this is one of the continuing stories throughout this kind of mini series from Caliber. So you get just his storyboards with some of the text telling the tale of the movie, which is kind of cool. It's a little bit behind the scenes type stuff. And then this one, was there credits for the last one? Don't think there was credits for this last story. I think it's the both of them working together, though. Oh, no, it's not. Moebius and Salomon, Salomon, for this last story here. Looking really, really nice. Yeah, I can't say that I've seen this series around before. And then you get a little kind of look at the next issue. I guess they leave the guest artist blank. They don't spill anything. So 1996 is when this is. So that's very cool. Moebius stuff just doesn't pop up that often. So when it does, you're best just to grab it. Let's end on these here. So we'll rearrange this a little bit here. I have the collected issues, the hardcover editions of the Ted McKeever stuff. But when these Eddy Currents pop up, I end up grabbing them. Same with Transit as well. But they just don't pop up that often. I think out of the 12 issues, I think I have 4 single issues of this Eddy Current. It's just not something that's out there very much. So this is earlier McKeever work, still with his... He does really have his voice at this point for sure. Unlike Transit, I think it's very rough. This is still kind of in that transition, but this looks a lot more like what you would know McKeever as than Transit does. So that's always great. And that is Mad Dog Graphics who put that one out. For some reason, I'd picked up a couple of American... Well, not for some reason. I'd picked up a couple of American Flag, and I couldn't find issue 2, so he had issue number 2, so I grabbed that. So now I've got the first 5, so I can get a nice chunk of it read now. I can get that first kind of 5 issues read, which I'm looking forward to, because I did enjoy the very first one quite a bit. So that was a nice surprise, and then I know where to go to find some more. He had quite a few of these, but I figured I'd start slow with this one. I don't want to grab the entire run right off the bat. There's no rush whatsoever. So that's pretty great. And then in the world of where I'm at with my Eclipse comics collecting, I'm really down to some titles that I just don't know what the hell they are, and I don't see this stuff around. So these 2 popped up on his list. He had quite a few Eclipse titles on that alternative list. It's one of those things, like when it comes to Airboy and DN Agents, some of those series, I don't jump on them, even though a lot of people have them, and I think that's why I don't end up buying them, even though I've got a lot of gaps in them. It feels like those ones are out there in abundance, so they're not that difficult. So these 2 popped up on his list, and I have never seen them. And again, it's one of those things, no matter how many times I read my list and have a look through my list, there's always some titles on there that I don't remember if I've seen them on that list. So this is Walt Kelly's Springtime Tales. I think there was also a Walt Kelly's Christmas special as well. And there might have been another Walt Kelly, and I think they were all one-shots. There's 3 or 4 of them, all one-shots. Looks great, looks like it'll be a fun little read. Maybe this one I can read with my daughter, but it really is. I'm really at the point with Eclipse where the stuff that I'm left with, I'm going to have to do some pretty serious digging for it, I think. So that was a nice surprise there. And then the strange thing with this one, I don't know, maybe it says inside if it's a first or second print. No, it doesn't say. When I was looking at this, so here we go. No, it doesn't say. So this is from 1993, and it's Dean R. Koontz Trapped. Obviously a name that's you've seen many places. Just a thin kind of graphic novel from Eclipse Graphic Novels. So that's pretty great. And presents the first ever visual adaptation of a Dean R. Koontz story, Trapped. And then there's a look at the interiors there. So illustrated by Anthony Bilau, Bilau, and adapted by Edward Gorman. I'm not familiar with Koontz stuff myself. My mom used to read a bunch of his stuff, but I haven't ever read anything by him, so that'll be kind of interesting. Maybe not. Just smashed the bell. Clark Kent Jeans, are you there in the chat here? Because you're saying you just smashed the bell on my channel, and I'm live currently, so that bell ain't working for you. So then the last stack of stuff, maybe we'll end with these. Let's go backwards with this, shall we? One of the books that I had when I was a kid, or not a kid, but younger anyway, definitely not a kid, that has just left the collection, as things do. It really feels like this, to me, this new comics group that was doing the Master and the Young Master and stuff. There's a few things I've grabbed from them now, and so far it's been kind of hit after hit. They don't have a big catalog. I don't know much about New Comics Group themselves, but it feels like one of those companies that I'm going to have to just hunt down everything I possibly can, because everything I've read has been incredible. I haven't read these ones yet, but this is a 2-issue series called Asylum. And here we got a Bernie Wrightson cover going on the front here. And that cover is burned into my memory. Flipping through with it, not much of the interiors are burned in there. Who's doing the art here? Let's just see. I'm a little slower tonight. I had a couple of beverages, so I'm feeling a little slower. So two issues. Christopher Schenk doing some art. Yeah, Alex Nino, John B. Wright, Valerie Jones, etc. Yeah, front cover Bernie Wrightson. So a horror anthology with a couple of short stories. There's your list of perpetrators right there, officer. Yeah, there we go. And then even on the back cover itself. But again, seeing stuff like this after so long, and seeing kind of what's contained inside, another one of those pieces of the puzzle that end up putting things together pretty well for me as to why I enjoy the stuff that I enjoy. These comic magazines have everything. And then here's issue number 2 there. This one's got kind of a heavier card stock cover than the previous. So those will be fun. What else do we got? Oh yeah, those. Let's go there last. Let's go here next. So I read this one this afternoon. As far as I understand it, there was only this one issue. It's called Dead Time Stories, and it's from 1987. And this is phenomenal. This was a hell of a read. It's a shame you're not here, Clark Kent Jeans. You need to find this one. When you go back to the Warehouse of Love, you need to hunt this one down unless you already have it. There's some killer Bissett art in this one. During the kayfabe interview with Bissett, when he was talking about Veitch helping him a lot of times, or maybe not a lot of times, but helping him sometimes finish off these jobs that he was hired for, this feels like it might be one of those books. I see a face like that, and that calls out Veitch to me quite a bit. So I wonder if that's the case with this, even though it's credited to Bissett. I'm wondering how much of oh, look at you, sleepy reader. Damien, how's it going, man? I'm wondering how much of it is Veitch as well. So, I mean, look at that there. Really great. And in this first story, he really mixes some photographic elements with his art. Where was that one panel? There's that for sure with the rocks. And then over here, you can see those cows there. Those are photos in there mixed in. I'm not 100% sure about these ones over here, but down on this end there, those are definitely photos. And I think it works well. But his art in this kind of black and white setting, I think works amazingly, especially at this time. And even in this book, it's also part of the reason why I think that there might have been Veitch's hand in this first story a little more so, is when we get to some of the other stories that he did, it's like his style changes a little. This one still has some of that Veitch look to it. The second one, the stories are fine. Again, it's not mind-blowing stuff. It's mind-blowing in just the art style and seeing these layouts, and again, seeing some earlier work from some of these creators. And the other one, that this story here, this No Place Like Home, kind of a science fiction tale. They have access to a time travel machine, and you pay a bunch of money and you can go to any particular time. This boy comes up and wants to travel back to before there were any humans. If you die 100 million years before you were born, we'll be out $500. Ha ha ha. Just a little joke, son. So he's basically wants to go to 100 million BC. Some of the stuff that ends up happening with these sci-fi when they go into kind of the age of dinosaurs, you see these kind of majestic landscapes and settings with, the brontosauruses in the background, like grazing on foliage and stuff. Bissett, when he drops them down in the dinosaurs, it looks fucking shit scary. It looks intense, man. Like that really puts you in the mode of like, you are fucked. Like, we would be fucked going into this environment, right? So I love that first panel there. That first panel is that's the money shot for sure. And then in the middle of the book, we get a bunch of pinups from people like Mignola, doing the werewolf, kind of the classic monsters pinups here. Al Milgram, and there's no signature on the Frankenstein's monster there, so I don't know who that is. Of course, we get, well, not of course, but we get some Gulacy. That's a really nice piece there. Arthur Adams here on this side, looking a bit different than how I remember him or know him as. And then some names, even with my glasses. Oh no, Walter Simonson, and I think it's another Bissett piece here too. So Walt Simonson over here with Cthulhu. And we get a little prose piece as well with a spot illustration from Bissett, and then a short story with a guy swatting a fly, and then he gets swatted by a gigantic fly. So, really good. Like, that lettering is really fantastic. That title there is really good. Al Milgram seems like an unlikely addition. Yeah, no, for sure it does. And I wonder, I mean, now that you're here, Damien, I don't know if you've been here the whole time, but do you know anything about this New Comics group at all? Because I don't know the first thing about them, but it feels like they had a lot of semi-big hitters playing for their team there for a little while. And then we get another Bissett at the end as well, too. So it's filled with Bissett. And it's great, honestly. Another highly recommended book to check out. And like I said, just the one issue as far as I'm aware. Dead Time Stories there. The gold of this, and the main reason I reached out to him, was to continue my fixation and try to get the rest of the Young Master series. He was missing one of the issues. Was it number 5? 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it was number 5. So I'm just missing issue number 5. So I have the rest of the 9 issues And tonight, or earlier, I read issue number 2. We still follow our main character as he's kind of delivering the head to this lair of assassins, this Yagyu clan, who are a clan of ninjas. And we get a little bit of his backstory when he goes to meet the master ninja. So they're asking who he is, and he's saying, I don't have a family. I don't have a family name. I don't have anything. And he says, I have credentials, though. And he's bringing them the head of this priest that was kind of one of the Yagyu clan's sworn enemies. So that gets him into the castle, gets him into the compound, and he meets kind of the Yagyu clan's leader, who's missing an arm, apparently taken by our main character's father. So that kind of sets them up. And he's there to assassinate his eldest son. So his eldest son points at his eldest son, and you see that he's got this young girl who's a princess strapped to him, basically as his kind of defense. And then we get a completely badass page of one swipe, she cuts free, he slices him in half, he splits in half. It's just as great. He rescues the girl, and it goes from there. Because the main Yagyu clan leader only has the one arm, they shoot some arrows at our main hero, and of course he catches them in the air. Of course he does. And then he throws both of them. He throws both of them at the Yagyu clan's leader. But of course, with his one arm, he can only catch one of the arrows, and the other one goes right into his eye. And that kind of seals their fate, and they go from there. We get a little bit of a story of them joining a circus and things that happen. And honestly, man, like, this is a phenomenal book. This is a phenomenal book. I've been reading a shit ton of stuff lately. I've read a lot of really good things. This is top of the list for me so far this year. If there was a top 10 book for 2021 that wasn't new, this is right there for me. This is so far taking the number 1 place. And because there's so few issues, I really want to savor it. So I'm trying my best not to just sit and fire through every single issue. I'm going to try to do 1 issue every couple of days. I don't know if that's going to work, but that's the plan. And then we get a little bit of a kind of a diary entry from our main little girl when she was taken prisoner. So we get a little bit of story of what she was doing and how she was preparing for her revenge. They blinded her and kind of kept her trapped to use her in this fashion. And then at the back, we get an unusual little story called Swift Sculpture. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's our main character. This woman is sent by, we find out there's 9 issues of this young master there, Damien, just 9 issues. And then I'll show you, pardon me, there's a couple of one-shots as well too. And then it went to a title just called The Master, and there was only the 2 issues. So she's sent by this group to find this dragon, who's apparently this amazing sculptor, and they want the dragon to come and honor their dead by making a sculpture for him, or for them rather. And in place, part of his payment, they have a female dragon that they've been kind of taking care of for generations, like 300 years or something. So an unusual little backup story. I don't know if it fits that well. I mean, it was nice enough to look at. I wasn't particularly crazy about the story, but thankfully we still get a really good chunk of the young master story. So it's not like we only had 4 pages of young master and then something else. And then there's the back cover. So that's issue number 2. And I'm not going to flip through these ones because I don't want to see anything in them until I've read. So there's issue number 3. Some beautiful, beautiful covers. And I don't know if I said it, but it's Larry Hama on writing duties. Until this one. Yeah, so issue 3 is still Larry Hama and Val Mayerick on art. Larry Hama from G.I. Joe fame and a bunch of other stuff. This is 1980. I think it started in 86, Damien. Let's have a look at this first, or this number 2 issue. No, 1987. So December 1987 for issue number 2. Yeah, that's got to be a misprint. Book 2, December 1987, but down at the bottom it says Volume 2, Issue 2. Jesus, I got to do some more digging. I don't think that's the case. I'm pretty sure Young Master was the Volume 1, and then just the Master was the Volume 2. So what did I say? Issue 4, and now we have someone, Yakata, doing the writing here. Larry Yakata, still Val Merrick on art. And then with issue number, like I said, 5 is the one I'm missing. Issue number 6, we get Chuck Dixon taking over the writing. And Dixon does the writing in the 2-issue Master series as well, too. Or not series, but the 2 issues of just the Master that came out. Chuck Dixon does the writing there. But still Merrick doing art through the whole thing. So that looks phenomenal. One of our main characters there. And then again with our main character, or both of our main characters in this one. And yeah, still the same creators there. I think it's the same creators for the rest of it. And then this is issue number 8. And then number 9 I have somewhere else. Yeah, it's not a name that I'm familiar with, D. It's not somebody that I know. And his art changes throughout this, because I think he does the Master series as well, too. And it's quite a bit different by the end. I'm just going to look through. I'm not going to look too far. But even this stuff here by issue number 8, his style has changed quite a bit. It's gotten a little bit cleaner. And then in the Master series, it's different as well. So there was that. And then there was also something called the World of Young Master Demon Blade. And this is where it gets a little... Oh, hey, look at that. Well, no, that says 1989. So this is from March 1989, and they're calling this Volume 1, Issue 1, even though the Young Master series came earlier. But this one, story by Chuck Dixon, art by Alex Nino on this one here. And this was just a one-shot, just a one-off. And I'll show you in a second here why it gets confusing. So there's some Alex Nino art in there. Oh, Swamp Thing in the mid-70s. First to draw Howard the Duck. Oh, well, there you go. Very good. Thanks, Damien. So it gets a little confusing because this is World of Young Master Demon Blade. And then there was another book that came out in, 1989 as well. And it's just called Demon Blade. So I'm not really sure how this all ties in. And again, it's Alex Nino and Chuck Dixon on this one as well, too. And again, from my looking, just the one issue. So I'm not sure if this ties in, but I guess as I'm reading through all of this, I'll figure it out and be able to put things together a little more. But the way I read it is Young Masters first, then this one shot, then this one shot. And looks great in here, too. Heavy duty blacks on this one compared to the previous. Chuck Dixon as well. So that's that. So yeah, I mean, New Comics Group is a company. Like I said, I haven't done research yet online, but I am absolutely looking them up, and I'm probably just going to try to grab whatever I can from them because they haven't let me down yet. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's one of those books that I don't want to overinflate, but I feel like I'm going to anyway because it's phenomenal. Really give it a shot. If you can find it for cheap, give it a shot. Thanks very much for hanging out. Thanks very much to Greg Harder here in Winnipeg. A hell of a guy. It was nice to see him briefly today, and always comes through with a lot of incredible comics here in town and has kind of been a staple of Winnipeg for a long damn time. So when I was there picking up the books, he was just talking about some of the stuff, and he's going through a bunch of, I think he said he had about 4 long boxes filled with independent stuff. So I'm really excited about that. he was reading through a couple of European books too by Catalan. So I kind of like, you know, once you're done reading them, if they're for sale, call me, because there were books that I didn't have. 2 books in that go with a couple of books that I have on the shelf that I can't find the other parts of. Saxon, I believe, was the series, and I'm blanking on the name, and I can't see that far. Unfortunately, it's up on the shelves just out of my eyesight reach. So hopefully he'll finish those off and I'll get my hands on those, but I'm looking forward to seeing what he's got in those independent bins. Thank you very much. Scott Connor, how you doing, man? You're just catching the tail end. I'm just about to sign off. Thanks very much, Damien. Nice to see you. And we'll talk to y'all later. I'm curious if we chat this weekend, Damien. I'm curious to talk a little bit about We Live, just to see kind of what you thought about it. No spoilers here, but in the chat, you know, we'll maybe do a couple of spoilers, because I'm very curious your thoughts on it. I did see your video, and you had it at your #1 and said you really enjoyed it. So I'm curious to pick your brain a bit about on that one too. So, all right. Thanks very much, everybody.